Hey, good morning everyone. Saturday here, week before Thanksgiving. I'm headed out here on the tractor to fix some of the roads. While I was away, I missed a giant snowstorm or something. There is a ton of water here, like 3-4 inches in one of our tubs and mud puddles all over the place. So I got the rake on the tractor and I'm headed out there to do some repair. If you do the repairs too early on, when there's tons of rain, like right after it, it'll just move the water around and make everything soggy and muddy still. Doesn't really do much. If you wait too long, all the ruts will be locked in the ground. So right now is the perfect time. The sun's been out a couple days since I got back, and the ground is almost like a Play-Doh. So I'm going out there with the rake, going to knock all the big ruts down, and then hopefully we can drive over them again. It won't be super muddy, and we'll be able to compact that kind of dough-like sand clay mixture down and good to be driving on again. So one of the things on my list is to fix these whoop-de-doos right here. Happens when the mud was just starting to be created right after the storm before it could really lock in its shape. So now it's kind of second on my priority list. The main thing is the giant existing mud holes with all the clay content. So I'll do that first, and on my way back probably I'll have the rake down in hopes to knock these out. Well, I lied. I couldn't handle all the whoop-de-doos. Whatever. It's gonna look better though. So if we see here in front of me, this is just standard texture sand. But if we look at the road up ahead, we'll see that it's a lot darker color. And it has tons of mud ruts in it. Huge giveaway that that's where the clay's at. So I'm going to go ahead and drop the rake right before I get there and just kind of push it around. Make sure that it's not able to get a bunch more ruts. It's a lot harder later when it gets worse. Not bad. Graded about a mile or so, and now I'm headed to where I actually was headed in the first place, or almost there anyway. Alright, so let's see. This is where you can start to actually notice the change in the soil texture and the different types of clay that are actually in it. It's visible because, well, it's where all the mud is. Rocks in here too. Okay, final kneel on the feet. Well, the mud looks to be like a couple 100 feet away, but my tractor disagrees with me and feels it right where I'm standing. So what I've had to do is lift the rake up. You can see that it's having an issue because normally when you look down here at all the dirt with a rake, it's only just in here on the rake part and all the particles fall through and come back here. And so when you're looking behind yourself on the, behind the tractor and you see a huge pile like coming forward, you know that it's actually acting similar to a box scraper and is actually having a huge amount of load. So what I'm doing is, it's kind of obvious to me now that I'm looking at it why it's happening. I mean, all this brush sticking here is acting just like a hand doing this, and so dirt builds up there instead of flows through. So all you do is come back here and mainly just clean it. Someone needs to make a bar, you just press a button, goes whoosh. That would be sweet. Smells really, really, really good while I'm doing this. Man, that sage is something else. I made a mistake and started doing this by hand a while ago, and with it didn't look like there was any tumbleweeds in there, but my giant thorns in my hands prove me wrong. So that's all I'm doing, is just kind of kicking all this brush out. They got caught in the rake for when I was clearing brush back at the property. And then I'm going to back up a little bit and then pull forward again, and hopefully it will allow all the dirt to flow through. So wow, look at this. There was so much water running through here. And to me, it feels like we're going uphill a little bit. It must just be ultimately downhill. And then if we zoom in there, at the bottom of the slope to the right and the slope that I'm standing on, you can see that super dark mud pit. That's where all the water gathers. That's where I'm headed. If I were to fix it permanently, I'd probably come back when it's all sunny, scrape all the mud curls out, and then come back with a landscape cloth and then dump a bunch of gravel on top of it. Okay, gotta plan this. Drive forward, drop bucket, back up. So I've been fighting with this giant mud pit for probably about 10 minutes, and I'm thinking all I'm doing is mixing and churning mud and making a giant paste out of it. Everyone's gonna get stuck. And then I happened to just pull a giant smear of it out, and I thought to myself, wow, that kind of looks like pavement or dough being rolled out, just like way more dough than I thought I was dealing with, like an actual dough. I mean, look at this stuff right here. You see how perfectly it holds the tracks? I can reach in there and it's pretty firm, right? Almost like cement that's been setting a little bit. Can hold its shape. See that? Anywho, all this gray color you're seeing right here is the clay. So what I'm doing is I'm rolling forward past the mud hole, floating the bucket all the way down and dragging it back as far as I can. And so instead of the clay being concentrated in, like, let's say an 8-foot area across the road, it's being drug out and thinned out to, you know, probably over 40 or 60 feet. And you can actually see it like lay down the clay on top of the regular soil. So eventually what'll happen is, over the many seasons of me doing this clay will be pushed both directions, and instead of being a mud hole where there's too much clay, it will be nice and solid like this area back here where there's just the right amount of clay, and it'll actually help with the structure of the road over time. Well, here we are. The last thing I'm dealing with today before I turn around, go make myself some lunch. So I've been working on this giant mud hole. It was really bad. People were getting stuck out here. And obviously it's not good enough. And people are just saying screw it and making their own road, pretty much a straight shot. It is what it is, I suppose. But I'm just going to keep on trying to knock it down, because eventually it'll probably be fixed. Just keep at it. One day here, one day there. It's not like we got to be professional road repairers or anything, but a little bit of work on something that's never maintained goes a long way. Also, I'm not going to make this nice. I'm trying to get people to stick to this path, and if we keep on doing this, we'll eventually just erode this whole property, which is not in the spirit of what I'm doing out here. Well, it's getting there. Pretty much can't really do a ton in one day, because you have to sit there and let things dry before you can move on. Exactly like concrete. It's got to cure or whatever. Distribute the moisture of clay everywhere. I got it pushed so far back now, though, that it's actually running downhill this direction, which is good. So that's probably about 75 feet or something like that over there. Definitely better than having it concentrated in, again, just an 8-foot area. So if I keep on top of this, what will happen is eventually we'll come back here, and as it dries up next spring, this will all have clay curls in it. And then if I can come harvest those, this will not be muddy again as bad next year. It's already, compared to last year, with just the little bit of work I've done, it's already way better. This was like from here all the way back, just a huge mud puddle, and people would get stuck here or what have you. So a little bit of work at a time is doing good. I'm just basically starting at that end, dropping the rake, and then backing all the way up here and pushing all the water down here. And then I'm going to turn around and do the same thing, and then I'm going to drop the rake here and push all the water back that side of the hill too. There's 2 little hills that I can push the water down to distribute it. Almost home. That's enough grading the road for today, I think. About 2 miles or so. Got a couple of the big holes taken care of, and I graded on my way back. I'm pretty much zeroed out for fuel. Used about half a tank. I'd say it's a good afternoon's work for the weekend. It's a good start. Hope you have something chill planned this weekend. I usually like to relax. I could have sworn I was towing a trailer. Oh, for the love. We're gonna get you, Aria! Yeah, you're muddy. Well, that's what happens when you play in mud, sweetie. Oh, yeah, okay. Can you jump? Over here in the mud, where it's wet. Come on, jump in the mud. Yeah, there you go. Whoa! Atta girl. Is that fun? Whoa! Mama's not gonna be happy with me, but you know what? This is awesome. Say it again. Rebecca, can you say no?
No.
How do you do it? Do it again.
Yeah.